Hi all, thank you for joining for today's session. So I'll start sharing my screen. So today we have day 17 for Office 3 classes, and hope you have gone through the recordings and the notes which I have shared. So since in our last sessions we have discussed about the mailbox quotas, storage limits, and the kind of warnings when users start getting warnings whenever they get filled their mailboxes. You can manage these mailboxes using this PowerShell command as well, like basic commands, get this mailbox quota, size limits. So these all commands I'll share in group after the call. We also covered the distribution group. Then we have covered creating distribution group, how to create distribution group, the type of distribution group, and the settings into distribution group. We can hide the user from the GAL. We can set up the approval member, moderate. We can set up the moderate of the of the person if any approval is required for adding user into the group. Then we have distribution, dynamic distribution group we already discussed. Then we have Office 365 groups, mail enabled security groups. Then we discussed about the group naming policies and governance. So this depends on how the naming convencing and the governance policy in the company. So you will have always an SOP. So you need to follow that specific SOP in your organization. You can add a specific prefix. You can blocked users word that cannot be used in the group name, like some sensitive words or some not allowed words which should not be mentioned as a group name. So that's all depends on company to company. We have also covered mail flow, EOP, on-premise to exchange, inbound mail flow, outbound mail flow. So today we'll be covering the transport rule. So transport rule are the it's kind of rule which we define in the company, where we can set up transport rule between the conditions and actions and exception. So there are 3 and 4 major points in the transport rule. First, we put the condition that what exactly happens. So it's like your inbox rule, but inbox rule is on Outlook level or on the one user level, but transport rules are on the organization level. So we can set up the transport rule based on IP address. We can set up the transport rule based on uh, specific domain or specific words or specific type of emails if you are expecting from. So first we give the conditions that what happen exactly to this rule. Then we give action. This is the condition. If this condition match, then this action happens. This action needs to be applied. And during that action, if there any exception, then we provide that exception as well. So if I show you, so let's suppose we have a rule condition, test rule. So first we have to put the condition. So apply this rule if the sender is, so we can select on sender level, then we can select the, if this person external or internal, if sender is member of any group, if sender is including any specific words, address matches. So these are all the conditions. If the domain, we can specify the specific domain, if the IP address and has specific priority match. So these all are the conditions. Similarly, you can have attachment type of rule. You can have recipient type, subject contains, let's suppose company is expecting some kind of email which has specific subject. So management asks you to track these kind of emails. If any specific recipient, you can specify the number of people So this rule will be applied to those kind of number people only, and all type of messages. So these are the specific conditions you can specify. So here I will try to create one rule. Let's suppose I say advice credit card. So let's suppose I have selected these words. If any recipient, any address include these words, what exactly happens? So this is something condition. So what happened to this message? Forward the message for an approval, redirect the message to, if you want to redirect the message, block the message, add the recipient. You can add an additional recipient into that message, apply a disclaimer to the message, modify the message priority, and prepare the subject to the message if in hand. So this kind of notify the recipient with the message. So you can, for example, I'm setting up this. I can specify the message, notify the sender. Please do not share any credit card details on email. So this is kind of notification sender will get if this try to set up this rule. So then we have enforce test with policy. So we never, directly specify the rule on organization level. We have to raise a change request first because it's organization level uh, modification which you're going to do. So you have to raise a change request. The change request will get approved with your management, and then it will be approved by your client. Once the change is approved, during the scheduled hours, you need to perform this change. Then we have severity. You can set up the low, medium, high. This is the star highlights are mandatory things. So activate this rule between, if you want to specify this rule on these many hours or these many during this time only, you can specify that. And then match the sender address type. So it says envelope or header or everyone. So you can mention connect comments like, this is for testing. Next, and our rule is ready. So this is just an example I wanted to show you that this is how you apply condition, actions, and exception, and you give priority. So this is an example of transport rule. So if I show you one rule, edit rule setting, this is already created. So currently this is disabled, but I'll just show you the settings of this rule. What are all? It has priority 1, it is enforced, then severity is not mentioned, and conditions, route to CBR, recipient type, external or internal, then it's applied on the organization level. Then if the sender is test person, so this is the alias we have given as a this rule applies only to the sender. Restrict the message, so they do the following: route the message using the following connector, CBR outbound. So that's how the condition. Exception is giving if the message header match these kind of text message x organization.org. If message has these many of words, it will give an exception to that particular message. So these are the settings existing in the current rule. So that's how you can create the transport rule. So in interview you will be asked that what is the difference between transport rule and inbox rule. So the major differences or inbox rule being created for end user level, and transport rule being created for, it can be created for organization and even for end users as well, but it's managed by admin. An inbox rule can be managed by the owner of the mailbox itself. Okay, so then we have these are the same settings which I showed how to block external email forwarding rule. So this is also one of the major comes under in cybersecurity parameter that you company wants to block the email which is being sent to outside of the organization. So this is one of the most important transfer rule every organization applies. Email connectors, type of connectors. So in email connectors we have two type of connectors. The one is inbound connector, one is outbound connector. So these are the default connector. So whichever the email comes inside the organization, they come from inbound connector, and whichever the email goes outside of the organization, it goes through outbound connector. Apart from this, you have another common connector. Hybrid connector only exists when you have the hybrid environment, like you have on-premise and Exchange Online, both the environment. Then we have partner connector. If you have any partnership, any company, like any encryptions or any third-party application which is filtering your service for email services, you create a partner connector. In this, you specify that kind of IP address of that target application. Then we have smart host connector. This is like Mimecast proof point. So as I mentioned in my previous session as well, smart host are the kind of connectors which helps you to route the email directly to dedicated uh, domain or that particular target. Creating outbound connector, smart host, go to Exchange Online, click on connector. So I'll show you here. Connectors. So these are the connectors which from on-premise. So for example, if I open any of these connectors from on-premise domain, status, how to identify. So these are the settings you can restrict if any specific settings you want to send an email, identity. So these are the existing connector which are already created. But if I create a new connector just to show you, it will ask you to connect from whether from Office 365 or your organization's mail server. This is for your organization or for partner organization. So let's suppose I'm connecting for Office 365. Then we have, hi Shivani. So I was going through the connector. Yeah. So this is how we create a connector. In creating connector, you get these settings. New connector, your organization email server. Then you connect to organization. Then you click on next. You can specify the name, test connector. Generally, this kind of things also organization level. So you have to perform the change. You have to create a change. You have to perform. You have to represent the change into your cab call, and then you have to get this approval from your management and then from the client, and then as per the schedule you have to perform this connectors creation, because this is also organization level. Test connector, test, turn on. Hi Shivani and Azra, what's the time there in India now? It is 10 p.m. or 10:17?
17, sir.
Okay, okay. So because I thought I started pretty early. Okay, so this is how we create connector. If you create next, it will show the email message sent to all the accepted domain in your organizations. Only when email transfer rule set up to the restricted. Only when the email messages are sent to these domains. So you can specify the conditions. So I'll let it be default. Then you have any specific routing like any IP address or any domain name if you want to add into for this connector, you can add here, but I don't have anything as of now, but it's asking me to provide. Okay, so this is what it's the process. Let's suppose 192.168.1.10. This is just an example I'm trying to give because I don't have any specific lab or the host name. Always use the transport layer TLS Security for the recommendations only connect one recipient email address certificate issue by secured certificates. Click on next. Validation email. So this connector needs who is with the email address will be used by this connector. So you have to create one user already exist. For example, this user we already have domain.com. You cannot just like add any user, you have to validate. So once you click on validate, it will verify whether this user exists in the organization or not. So it will not let you go further. So okay, let me see if I have any user currently. Okay, this a user we already have, so I'll try to give this user ID as then validate. We'll delete this one. Validate error routing IP. Yeah, because this IP address which I have mentioned, that is just a random IP I have given. So next, once we have the valid IP from the server from which this connector will be used, then it will not give this error. So next window will be just to review connector settings and next. So I'll not be able to create new one because this IP is just a dummy IP I have given. And so just to show you settings, I wanted to show you these kind of connectors already exist. And for practical only, I just opened this page. So these are the type of connectors. And interview questions, they ask you that what are the default connectors created. So the answer is inbound and outbound connectors. Then some interview, they also ask what is hybrid connector. Hybrid connectors are always optional only in case you have hybrid environment in your company. And sometimes they ask what is smart host. So smart host, they don't say connector, they say what is smart host. So smart host is a kind of connector only, but it has a dedicated IP where through which you want to route the emails from. So next we have accepted domain. Accepted domain is an SMTP namespace which Exchange Online sends and receive email. So it's a kind of email where your company, see, this is the accepted domain. So my company, uh, if have this accepted domain added, so my company will trust this domain and will accept this email without having any issue. So first you have to add the domain into accepted domain. Then only your company will be able to filter the emails for that particular domain. Type of accepted domain. So this is also one of the interview questions. We have one authoritative domain, then we have internal relay domain, then we have external relay domain. So this is the most frequently asked interview questions, that what are the three type of accepted domain. So our authoritative domain means Exchange Online is an final destination for an email sent to this domain. Use of primary company domain. For example, if your domain, if you have two more domain here and you have hybrid environment. So let's suppose hybrid environment, if I try to paint here, this is your on-premise, this is this is your cloud, and this is your on-premise, and this is your hybrid environment. So let's suppose your company has an environment where your domain is here as an internal relay. So there's a person called Shivani@abc.com, and from outside, from any company, email comes here for Shivani, and Shivani mailbox does not exist here on cloud. She is on premise. Her mailbox location is on premise. It's going through ed connect. Okay, so if the domain xyz.com is added to our accepted domain as an internal relay, then email will come here first, then it will try to search the mailbox on cloud first, then it will not find the mailbox here because the Shivani's mailbox exists on premise. Then it will see whether this connector, this accepted domain is our internal relay. It will relay and it will find the path. It will deliver the email to on-premise. But if the same connector is authoritative, then authoritative means it will not let the Shivani search go to on-premise. It will simply bounce back the mail from here only, that this mailbox does not exist from here. So it also helps you to troubleshoot our mail flow issues whenever you get a ticket. And so internal relay and authoritative are, opposite to each other. And external relay, Exchange Online says the mail for this domain without any delivery responsibility. So external relay means the emails will be routed to any external domains if you have any third party or any services to the any other company. So that's the most asked interview question. Okay. Then message trace we already covered in our last sessions. Here, why do we do message trace if somebody log a ticket that our email is missing? So we have this kind of status in message trace: delivery failed, pending, quarantined, and expanded. Then we have a non-delivery report. I already have shared full non-delivery report document I have prepared for you guys. So this kind of domain, MX record. Can anybody explain what is MX record? Any idea? So MX record is I covered in my previous video as well, but since it came again, so I'll explain. MX record is kind of incoming address of your organization. So it's a kind of domain name, sorry, DNS record, which you have to publish your MX record to the public DNS. Okay, just hold on, I'm getting a call. Yes. Yes. So we already covered our SPF record in our last session. SPF record is one of the security record. Then we already covered DCAM record as well, DMARC record. You go through my last videos on their our platform. I mean on my YouTube channel. Exchange Online EOP. So EOP is also, how the EOP is also one of the most asked question in interview. So how the EOP works. So whenever the email travel from uh, outside to your connection to your company, EOP Exchange Online Protection will do the connection filtering first. Then it will do the anti malware filtering. Then it will do anti spam filtering. Then anti phishing protection, and then if it pass all these parameter, then it will let you go into the your company further connectors. Okay, then we have covered our header analysis in our last sessions. If you have seen that, we have SCL value. If SCL, this is also one of the interview question. Most of the interview they ask that what is the SCL value and how do you define it. If the SCL values of the email is 0 to 4, it will not spam deliver to the inbox. If it's in a 5 to 7, then it's move to junk. Then it's 7 to 8, it's highly confidential spam, move to junk or quarantine. Then we have configured spam filtering policies. This is also comes under security now. So you have to, based on the, you don't get this kind of chance frequently, but in just an interview perspective, or for an L3, preparing for the L3 interview, then you must know this. Then you have to configure the anti-spam policy based on the company threat policy, or if any company is being taken over or any new merge is happening in the company, you have to analyze their anti-spam policies and to match their policy to your current company organizations. Then we have similar requirement for anti-malware policies, and then we have, so these policies and all are comes under security now. Accepted domains, alert, insights. So we don't have much in you know in Exchange Online now. We most of the topics we have covered, but since this 21 page out of 37, I'll just try to cover more whatever it takes in this 1 hour. Then we have safe attachment, Microsoft. So safe attachment is a kind of also comes under security now, under cyber security. Safe attachment, whenever you receive an attachment into the company, before it lands to the inbox of a user, it is always being scanned by the safe attachment policy, and that is a part of Defender now. So safe attachment will scan the email, will check whether the attachment is safe or not, because these days hackers, they started sending uh, things on an attachment, and things are not safe. People don't see what exactly in the email, they simply open the email. So just to make sure that it's being scanned by Defender. Then we have safe link. Some people, they do attach the email reporting or some their company reports or some link into the emails. So most of the people, they try to click on the link directly without knowing what exactly the link is. So in the background, without before the email reach to your inbox, the safe links is also one of the policy comes under Defender. It scans the link. If it passed, then only it let you land to the inbox. Then we have quarantine management. Quarantine management is kind of you can correlate with the COVID. When the COVID happened, we used to quarantine the people to a specific room for a specific time. That once we know that he is good to go, our all family member is safe. Same way in Exchange or in Cloud, we have quarantine. So if you feel like, if Microsoft, if your admin feels like this kind of email should not directly go to the you know inbox, they will be quarantined. And if user says that I was expecting email, some invoice from my company, or they will also receive a notification that your email is being quarantined. So they can raise a request. The security team will ask for business justification, will review the email and release their based on approval. Okay, then we have retention policies. So what is retention? This is also one of the interview question, that what is the difference between retention policy and retention tax. So retention policy is it's a kind of policy which is enabled on organization level and on the user level as well. And retention tag, first you have to create a retention tag, and then you can apply these to the retention policy. I mean, policy is a pipeline, and in that pipeline there are multiple tags. These tags are combined. That's how it called retention policy. So retention policy is like how long the message will not be deleted. So that's how you defined 3 years, 5 years, or 2 years, depending on the company's requirement. Most of the companies, they have 5 years and 3 years retention policy. So if any email which is in your inbox and you don't move them into to your folder, then the email will be deleted automatically after 90 days, or after, depending on the default policy applied in the company. This part also came under Microsoft security nowadays. Let's see if I can show you. Yes, I have access. Okay, next topic. I think this might need some kind of specific permissions, which I don't have. So next topic is litigation hold. So litigation name itself says the litigation means something is not legally right. So litigation hold is requested by the manager of the user if any issues or any litigation issues with the organization, they feel like this person is involved some kind of legal activity or some kind of threat or something which is not correct as per the organization policy, they'll raise a request to put a litigation hold on the user mailbox, and the user will not be able to delete anything from his inbox. He can delete, but it stays always into the uh, organization. So by default, it's at 7 years, and you can change it as well. So that is a litigation hold. If you're migrating a user mailbox from one tenant to another tenant, then the litigation hold mailbox will not be migrated. You have to remove the litigation hold. So that is one of the interview question they ask. Simply they ask like, what is a litigation hold? Do you know the definition? You can tell. But they will ask like, can you migrate the litigation hold mailbox if the mailbox has litigation hold enabled? Then the answer is no. Okay. What is litigation hold preserves? It all items in the mailbox. You cannot delete, modify users item, delete by the users, move to the recoverable items, both original and modified versions to keep. E-discovery. So e-discovery is also a kind of compliance now. To run the e-discovery, you need to have a compliance permission. So why e-discovery is needed? E-discovery is a technology. It's a feature of Exchange Online which enable you to search anything to organization level. So e-discovery is majorly used for any ex-employee to have the data uh, or for a legal team to have the data from you know one period of time like 3 months data, 2 months data. But to run this data e-discovery, you must have the compliance administrator permission. So e-discovery search type, there's a content search. You can search the e-discovery on the content, specific content if you want to search. Standard e-discovery, add, case management, hold and accept. Then we have premium e-discovery, full legal hold, contains the management analyst. So these are the type of content search in e-discovery. Rare check and content search, you go to purview.microsoft.com. That is also comes under security now. So we'll see if we have that option. Select location, keyword, date range, sender recipient, run this e-discovery. So e-discovery is something which you run on the portal. You find a mailbox property, you export them, you save it somewhere, then whoever requested, you create that PST file, export that PST file to the dedicated person whoever requested. So it works like a manager has raised a request on one user mailbox that I need the data from last 3 months of this user. Then as an admin, you will run e-discovery. You extract the data, all the emails. If he's asking emails only from some specific order or email from Amazon's or email for some kind of specific things, he will give in the ticket. So based on the requirement, you will run e-discovery. If there's nothing given, then you can run the general e-discovery, and then from there you export that e-discovery portal, sorry, the mailbox, and then to export this you ask the requester that where it should be provided, whether they have given any shared mailbox to access this or whether they have given an email address. So you give them permission on that particular user. Okay. Then we have audit logs. So audit logs are generally used for audit purpose to see the whether who is doing what. So it generally have the audit reports like admin actions, what is admin doing, delegation actions, that who all have access to others' mailbox, owner actions, like they will be report the every month auditor team wants to know that who's accessing whose mailbox. So sometimes if I'm a manager of somebody and I have intention of accessing request of another some users emails, I simply raise a ticket and I get the access. But audit team can have the question to the manager also, that why you want to access his emails, because what if that person is dealing with some kind of confidential information, some legal discussion, or some, what if the person is HR, right? What if that person is in um, having some critical discussion with the client or the partners? So auditor team will have always audit these kind of access, that who has access to what. Okay. Then we have DLP policy. So data loss policy is also kind of policy which helps us to prevent your data. So what is data? Data is whatever in the in your inbox. So you enable DLP, and it protects your data, like with DLP comes under it also contains the data which can include attachments. It can includes the content into your inbox, calendars, any kind of data. So it's kind of you know search the it kind of policy which runs on the organization levels. Okay. It protect the sensitive information such as a credit card number, social security number. If somebody try to share or save the credit card number in the emails or in the teams or SharePoint, so DLP will secure that kind of data. So whenever you try to send an attachment attaching credit card informations, DLP will not allow you to send that kind of emails. Okay, hybrid I have already covered. If you have mixed environment, then we have that's called hybrid, on-premise and cloud both. Mail flow I have already covered in my previous sessions. On-premise to Exchange Online. Yeah, we have migrations type. We have cutover migration. It's a big topic, but just an overview. We have cutover migrations. Move all mailboxes to one stable for small organizations like 150 users. Stage migrations for bigger organizations. For older version of Exchange 2003 or 7. Then we have hybrid migrations, which is generally most highly recommended and most frequently used. Then we have IMAP migrations. If the mailbox is being moved from non-exchange background to exchange background, exchange, like from Gmail to exchange is coming, or from Yahoo to Gmail it's coming, or Yahoo to exchange is coming. So these are the type of migrations we have in Office 365. Then preparing migration, it's another big topic we'll cover in separately. Yeah, this is also one of the interview question. What is centralized mail flow? What is decentralized mail flow? So centralized mail flow, when the email is received on premise first. So as I mentioned in my here, if the email is being sent from outside, so whether this was your on premise, so if the email goes to your on premise first, then it get triggered to your on premise group policies or the policies as your legacy company follow, then it get triggered to your exchange online. That's how the centralized mail flow. So even if the mailbox location is in cloud, the email will go here first, and then after applying all this on-premise policy, then it will go to cloud. And decentralized mail flow is a vice versa. So email will come to cloud first, and then from cloud, it will go to on-premise servers. So this is only applies if you have hybrid environment. Then we have FreeBG. I'll try to show if I have option. So FreeBG is also something which whenever you book a meeting with somebody, whether this person is busy at this time or his calendar is booked, how this things will be shared throughout the organization from FreeBG services. So FreeBG services, if you have hybrid environment, then Azure Ready synchronization will connect to your on-premise and to cloud as well. So it's being shared through this component called HCW, hybrid configured wizard. So you have to configure HCW in your organization. Troubleshooting FreeBG services, verify the ID connect whether properly configured or not. Check the organization's relationship task both on premise and exchange online. Then we have next topic is connecting to exchange online. So we have a command call connect to exchange online. So you that's the benefit of cloud. You can connect to exchange online from anywhere. So even you just need internet connection and the permissions to have exchange online. You don't need to log into a specific server to connect to exchange online. So this is the basic commands which exist. Okay. So managing mailbox with PowerShell. So what kind of things you can do using PowerShell? Get mailbox statuses. You can find out the mailbox connectors commands like get this mailbox statuses, get this mailbox logs, all the mailboxes. So these are basic commands which can use to manage the mailboxes. And these are the basic commands to manage permissions with PowerShells, mail flow with PowerShells, reporting to PowerShell. So this is the PowerShell topic. So most of the topics we have covered in our Exchange Online trainings and sessions. Okay. Then we have common issues like we troubleshooted user cannot log in, user cannot send email. You troubleshoot the uh, mail flow troubleshooting part, which I covered in my last. User need access to the shared mailbox. Shared mailbox is not showing into the account. Calendar not showing. Email going to the junk folder. Email forwarding not happening. So these are the general tasks which you follow in your daily tasks. So most of the topics we have covered for an Exchange Online training, and hope it is understandable and you will go through. I will share this file as well. Okay, so that's all for today. I think we have covered most of the topics which is required for an help desk admin to be the part of Office 365, and that's the way you can jump your career to Office 365. I will share this file, and please feel free to ask any question if you have. Thank you.